how we work today has dramatically changed because of the rapid adoption of smartphones, customer expectations that companies be highly responsive, and the increased need for mobility. Unlike traditional on-premise phone systems, Ringcentral securely delivers the advanced functionality your business needs for this new work world, regardless of your size, locations, devices, or budget. Flexible and easier to manage, Ringcentral adapts to the unique needs of your business and eliminates the need for phone system hardware. With Ringcentral, you're set up in minutes, not weeks. No technical expertise required. Add locations, departments, and users, also in just minutes. Desk and conference phones arrive plug and ring ready. All you need is an internet connection. Ringcentral is also the first to deliver complete setup, management, and access of your entire phone system from your smartphone or tablet with the Ringcentral Mobile App. Make changes with just a few taps from wherever you are. Users can easily change their call handling rules, access all their messages, and dial coworkers from their smartphone. Our presence capability allows colleagues to see if you're on a call even when using your smartphone. With one-click conferencing, the host can join the conference with one tap and invite participants using text messaging. And one business number delivers voice, fax, and text communication. No need to hand out multiple numbers. Increase efficiency with ready-to-use integrations with other cloud business applications such as Salesforce, Box, Dropbox, and Google Docs. And with simple, all-inclusive monthly pricing, you get a cloud business communication solution that adapts to your business needs with the best value.
Good morning. Welcome to the New York Stock Exchange. My name is Ron Bollert.
And I'm Jenna Viviano.
And we are going to be your hosts this morning as we get ready to open the U.S. equity markets. But more importantly, we are celebrating the first day of Ringcentral, trading under the symbol RNG on the New York Stock Exchange. We have quite a bit to cover this morning. We're going to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on behind us, who all these people are running around. We're going to watch the price discovery process, pass along a little bit of history about the trading floor, and in a couple of minutes what we're going to do, we're going to cut up to the Bell podium where your management team is going to ring the opening bell. So we're going to get up there right now, come back down here and explain what's happening.
Everyone, that was a really exciting opening bell. Your management team had a great time up there. As you can see around me, there's a ton of action on the floor. It's the busiest Friday I think I've seen in a long time. And right now, Ron, can't you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the market?
Well, overall equity markets are looking a little bit lower. There's a lot of fears about the U.S. budget situation, what we're going to do with the debt ceiling. Will the can be kicked down the road a little bit? So right now, industrials are off about 40 points or so. S&P futures down about 4 or 5 handles as well. You know, a little bit of negative sentiment out of Europe also is weighing on the markets.
Right.
But on the flip side, Ringcentral priced pretty well last night.
They did do pretty well. They priced at the high end of the range. They priced at $13. We're looking at 97.5 for the IPO size, which is higher than the estimate was. So they're doing pretty good today.
And so what is happening behind us right now? Who are some of the people that we're seeing back here?
So right behind me is the DMM unit, which is the people that Ringcentral chose to open their stock today. It's KCG, and the actual gentleman who's going to be who's going to be opening the stock is Jason Blatt. And so basically, what a DMM does is they help open the stock. They're kind of they maintain a fair and orderly market. So Ron actually here was a DMM at one time.
And then he's also interacting with some of the folks out here who are the broker community.
Right.
So the brokers are representing institutional or retail orders on both the buy and sell side. And the one thing that makes us very different than the other marketplaces is that we're human-based. While we have a ton of technology driving what we do down here, the human beings are a very integral part of this price discovery process. And they're going back and forth with the indications of interest to try to get the correct price because, as you know, you only have one chance to get the IPO pricing right.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm going to peek in here and try to get an indication of where they're looking to open. But what you guys can do is take a look. There's a lot of great branding down here. It's a sea of orange with an orange carpet, not a red carpet today. We have the Ringcentral logo on top of the post over here. Out front of the New York Stock Exchange, there were orange balloons carrying cell phones.
Yep.
And it's just a crazy scene out there.
I think we also got some shirts. You have a shirt right here?
They were giving out shirts today, so a lot of the folks down here are wearing them, and they've been passed around.
There's a lot of orange on the floor today.
And on the back, very proudly displaying NYSE RNG, which is the ticker symbol that you guys will be trading under. So, interesting development right here behind us. If you look up at these screens, they're disseminating information to the folks out here that are walking by. So it shows RNG, $13, which is where you priced last night. And then there's what's called an indication, 14 to 16. So that's meaning right now you're looking above where you priced on the opening. And they're going to keep changing that, tightening it, making it smaller until they find the correct area where they're going to price the stock. But as of right now, you're looking at a premium to where you were last night, which is a very good sign.
Your management team is actually assembling behind us, and they're going to be talking to the DMM. They're going to be right there in the midst of figuring out what that price is going to be.
Now, when speaking about IPOs, the last few weeks have been very busy down here.
We have been really busy.
Tell us a little bit about the IPO market so far this year.
Sure. So actually, year to date, the New York Stock Exchange has actually had a proceeds of $21.6 billion, which has surpassed the 2012 number. So we're already ahead of last year. Also, we have the number of 72 IPOs as of today. We're expecting a lot more by the end of the year, and it's continuing to see a lot of action in the market, despite the things that are going on, externally.
So I just got a look from one of the brokers in the crowd over here. They're looking $15 to $16 on 500,000 shares. So meaning the opening print would be 500,000 shares.
Right.
What we're going to watch for now is as that volume increases and decreases, you're going to see a lot of these folks hitting their handheld units and changing their orders. What happens, some of the orders that these guys are getting in from their brokers have parameters on them, meaning maybe they want to be 1% of the volume on the opening, or a certain percentage up to a certain price. So as that total volume increases, they have to alter their orders accordingly.
Right.
And that's where you see the ebb and flow back and forth between that price indication, and that's what they're discussing with each other to try to get the right price.
Right, right.
And a little bit of background, this price discovery process that we're seeing right now is very similar to what we've done for over 200 years down here.
It's been quite some time though. We've had this for quite some time.
We trace our oranges back to 1792, believe it or not. I mean, that's going back quite a bit. Over the years, it has changed a little bit, become more electronic, as we've mentioned. But the human element is still very important, still an integral part of what we do. Now, how do we integrate the electronic market with the human beings? A very big piece of it are these handheld units that these folks are walking around with. They're able to transmit orders electronically back and forth from these into the specialist electronic book. So they kind of look like glorified iPads, so to say. but it's a seamless transition between what we used to do with the paper and what we're doing today.
So some interesting facts kind of about the New York Stock Exchange that you might not know. We actually processed, kind of going along the technology line, we process up to 140 billion messages per day. So that's actually 3.5 times the number of Google searches that Google handles each day.
That's an incredible amount of volume messaging traffic.
Ring, what are they saying?
And we're going to get an indication right here. I don't know if you guys heard that, but now we're looking around $16 on 700,000 shares. So this
is well above the
definitely
range.
moving up. One thing to watch for now, as the price moves up, are some of the buy side people in here going to put a limit on it, maybe scale back a little bit, or are we going to attract more buyers saying, hey, we don't want to miss this opportunity, we want to get involved.
Right.
And that's something that these guys are discussing and working on behind us.
Yeah.
But either way, we're looking at quite a premium this morning over the $13 offering price from last night. Now, one thing we wanted to mention, Ringcentral now, New York Stock Exchange listed in a short time, that is. They're joining a great community of companies that are down here.
I mean, if I think of the amount of companies that are here on this floor that grace this floor every single day, I mean, you have Disney, you have some big names, J&J, you have GSK, you have, I mean, the amount of brands that are here, the brand value is around $800 billion if you look at it. It's insane, the amount of people that are here and the amount of delegates that we've had come across here. There's a huge amount of partnership capabilities for Ringcentral moving forward with the New York Stock Exchange.
And then to put that in perspective, a lot of people look at index involvement as a way to look at who are the best companies and where are they listed.
Right.
New York Stock Exchange, down here, we boast it's almost 90% of the Dow Industrials, 80% of the S&P 500, and 80% of Fortune 500 companies call the New York Stock Exchange home.
Right.
And they say, you are the company that you keep, and we're very proud to have Ringcentral as a part of this community too.
It's a pretty exciting day, especially for, there was a ton of family and friends that were here from the company that got to experience this. The boardroom looked beautiful. They had everything in orange and blue. It was very decked out. The outside, as you came in, was blue and orange as well.
And I don't know if you can see, in addition to the guests and officials that we have down here, there's a balcony that wraps around the trading floor, and there are probably about 50 or so guests from Ringcentral up there that have joined us as well, that are able to watch from up top in the balcony. And there they are all up there watching down here.
They're waiting to hear as much as we are what's going on with the stock and when it's going to open. It's very exciting.
Now, equity markets are still a little bit on the weaker side, down 60 points. Again, a little bit of fear about the debt situation. And there was also news out of Europe with the Italian bond auction, which didn't go off quite as they planned. Yields spiked a little bit, so there's some fear from overseas leading to our downturn. But still not taken away from the nice run we've had so far this year.
We really have. It's been really quite impressive, and it's continuing to increase. The amount of IPOs that are projected to happen by year end there's a ton in the pipeline. So we're not done yet.
So a little bit about what happened earlier this morning. Your management team joined us in the boardroom, which you spoke about, where it was all decked out in orange. We had some great branding for Ringcentral up there. They ate breakfast with our senior officials, and as is our tradition, we had a gift presentation. We don't like anyone to leave here empty-handed.
Definitely not.
And there are a couple of interesting pieces that we pass along to listed companies as they come through here. One of which is a listing certificate. It's a beautiful silver framed certificate that mentions Ringcentral, NYSE listed, and it goes through a whole bunch of other stuff, and hopefully you guys find a prominent place in one of your boardrooms or common meeting spaces for that to hang. In addition, there's what's called a ticker statue. Everyone down here has their listed company emblem, which is there. You can see it right up there where it says RNG, listed NYSE. So it's a silver model of that, it's kind of a large paperweight, again, that hopefully will sit atop your CEO or your chairman's desk at some point. Now, the last piece, and this is for all the folks that are going to be joining us down here today.
Yep, it's a very special medallion.
We pass along a medallion. And this is a representation of all the different bourses where we trade. So you have Amsterdam, Brussels, Lisbon, London, New York. And then on the back, well, this one has nothing. But what we do is we will inscribe this with Ring NYSE listed, and it's going to show today's date. We're a little bit superstitious down here, so we don't like to strike these before the actual first trade. Otherwise, we'd have a closet full of these that are struck for deals that didn't quite go at the correct time. But everyone down here is going to get them. And if you ever visit a banker's office or some of the folks that work on these deals, they tend to have...
They collect them.
It's almost like a trophy case of all the deals that they've worked on. So right now we're going to get another indication of interest. I think we are still looking higher end of this 14 to 17 range. If you want, if we can, take a look back on a little bit of the crowd and what's going on behind us, so you can see some of the buzz and all the people that are moving in and out back here.
Ron, can you tell me a little bit about these guys? There's different guys that are in different color jackets. Can you tell me why do they wear those different color jackets?
Definitely. Well, back quite a while ago, this is how every trading crowd used to be. And as this market maker in the crowd in the back there, you'd have to know which brokers represented which trading firms. So what they did is they figured out that if you wear a very brightly colored jacket that denotes your firm, it's a lot easier for you to know who you're trading with. So we're able to look out in the crowd, and then, for instance, the gentleman in the blue jacket right here, badge 492, I would know who he was executing the stock for. Also notice all the brokers have badges on with numbers. Again, that's part of our checks and balances down here, so to say, where we can know who's trading each stock because his badge number is attached to any trade that he does. So it's a way of order tracking to figure out, in case there were ever a discrepancy or something going on, anything with badge 492 on it would be traced back to this gentleman right here. And so on throughout the rest of the folks in the trading crowd.
Okay. Fun fact.
Another piece of these jackets which makes it kind of interesting and a little bit different is, some folks used to wear suit jackets down here, but these used to be paper transactions. So you need...
Well, there used to be a ton of paper on the floor. I mean, that was my first impression whenever I came to the New York Stock Exchange. I assumed the floor was going to have a ton of paper everywhere, and that was just not the case anymore.
Well, a lot of it's done electronically now, but in the days of paper, they'd need multiple pockets to put their trading pads for the buy, the sell orders, carry multiple pencils, quote pads. And sometimes suit jackets didn't quite work for that, and they would get messy and dirty really quickly. Also, they get pretty hot.
Well, I would probably think they would. There was way more people. There's a lot of people on the floor today, but back then, the amount of people, wasn't there a statistic that said there'd be like 45 minutes to get across the floor?
Exactly. So now you'll notice a lot of these have the mesh on the back. Makes it a lot cooler. They're a lot more durable than a suit jacket. And that's part of the transition, a little bit of the facts as to what all the different colors mean. What are we looking at? Okay. So right now they're looking 16 to a half on about 500 to 600,000 shares or so. So it's pulled back a little bit, garnering a little bit of sell side. Volumes got down a little bit. But seeing that they're getting a little bit closer, now they're only a 50-cent range that they're telling me versus the $2 that they had up there and the $3 up there now. That's showing me that they are getting a little bit closer to finding this price around the 16 to 1650 range.
Which is well above the range that they priced at last night, so it's really exciting again.
And in the face of a down market is a very telling sign, and it's a very good thing with as far as the interest in Ringcentral today. It definitely looks very positive.
The tech market's been really hot. I mean, the New York Stock Exchange itself has had 55% of all tech IPOs year to date, and we only anticipate that to increase within the year. And it's been a very exciting year in terms of tech IPOs. You've seen a lot. You've seen here, we've had Tableau, we've had Channel Advisor. I mean, we have Ringcentral today. We had Cven a couple of weeks ago that did really, really well, and we, just kind of going with the flow. Same with the Ringcentral.
Now, if you'd like, I'm going to take a look at the whole trading crowd from up top, just to give you an idea a little bit about all the people and the buzz that's going on behind us. Yep, whenever you're ready. All right, so one of the things that's very unique about how we do things and the fact that it's about 10 minutes into the trading day or so and we're still not open yet, 15 minutes even. These folks right here, they're real human beings using their judgment in executing their orders. And these are all floor brokers that have been down here for 10 to 15 years that have quite a bit of experience in these situations.
Right.
And you'll see these headsets, they all have headsets in their ears, talking back to their trading booths or their desks, getting the instructions on how they want to execute these orders. So there's a lot of judgment involved in here that cannot be programmed into a computer. It's a very human-based element. They're sharing their orders with each other, letting each other know what they're doing, so that way everyone here can get executed, and it's a fair and orderly market after the opening as well.
They have a lot of transparency to see in this IPO process specifically, because it definitely really helps them to see what is out there.
Exactly. And the last thing somebody wants here is to not show their hand and all of a sudden not get executed.
Right.
So that's where it's in their best interest to let the people know, I have a buy order of X amount of shares up to a certain price. You know, I'm a sell order in this area. They work together so that way they get their executions. And then it also helps them down the line on the next IPO that they all work together on, and so on and so forth, so that they get this efficiency and it works out well.
Getting close, guys.
Kind of a good way even to look at what a DMM is kind of to liken them to a pilot. We use that analogy all the time. So, you know, you always want the pilot there at the takeoff and at the landing, and in the middle it's kind of autopilot in case something goes awry, so they go in and intervene, and that's kind of what the DMMs are doing here, and that was a good analogy that I always thought made a lot more sense in my head.
And they do stand by. So after today, what the market maker, designated market maker is going to do for Ring, they're going to be standing by as both a buyer and seller at all times to make sure that there is a liquid market. So what does that mean? If there happens to be a day when there are several buyers that come in and the stock's moving higher, he's got to step in as a seller to help dampen that move higher, attract other people, and also act as a resource for the company, where your CEO and CFO, investor relations, anybody within the company can call him directly and say, what's going on today?
Well, they have those conversations at least 3 times a day. I mean, they get their morning reports, they get their midday reports, and they get their close-up market reports from the DMMs. And so they give them a little bit of color as to what the market's been doing, what to expect, what they have been doing relative to their peers. So that's definitely really beneficial to have that DMM there to actually give some color. It's not just data, it's analytics on the data.
And it's also information as to who the buyers and sellers are.
Right.
And that's pretty helpful if your management team happens to be on the road and they're out there talking to investors and all of a sudden they see some large buyers coming through. They could piece that information together and it will give them the indication that they are getting the right message across.
Right.
Conversely, if people are selling it again, maybe it'll say, okay, we want to go back and talk to these guys, make sure they got our message right.
Right.
So there's that two-way information flow between the brokers and the market makers to the listed companies. And at the end of the day, they're accountable. They're the people who are responsible for the way the stock is trading back and forth. Can't necessarily say it's going to go up forever or put a price floor underneath it,
Right.
but they're there to facilitate and help bring the buyers and sellers together.
Now, a lot of people might not know this, but are these DMMs, are they employed by the NYSE?
They are not, believe
That's
it or
a fun
not.
fact that a lot of people don't know.
They are, so they work for Knight Capital Group. That's one of the designated market maker units on the trading floor. So their checks come from them. It's totally separate from the NYSE,
Right.
which is who we're employed by and we're the listing venue. So they're down here and they are performing the service of trading and providing those liquid markets, and they are in fact regulated by us.
But
So
they
we're
do get
keeping an eye on them.
incentives by the New York Stock Exchange.
They do, and part of the incentive process is what makes their market so well. He announced it. I heard the cheers. That was your folks cheering down here, because right now we're looking 16 to 18. Indication moved a little bit higher. And I think I heard some people speaking 17, 17.50 now.
17.5, 750,000 shares, 17 bid, 100,000.
I don't know if you heard that. That was pretty loud what he was yelling out there. 17 and a half on 700,000 shares.
I believe so, yes.
And they said 17 bid. So what that means is there is a buyer out there that has pretty good size that's limited to 17. So the question now is that $17 buyer going to step up a little bit and join at 17.50 or 18 to get executed? Or is that the price top where they're going to stay? And again, whoever that $17 bid is in here, we don't know which one it is exactly, is probably on the phone with his trading desk saying, you need to get more room or you're not going to get executed. So all the cheering you heard was your team as they heard that. I mean, that's incredible. 17.50 after pricing at 13, that's really good news for you guys. So one of the things that you're going to hear from in this trading crowd, you have your lead underwriter, Goldman Sachs, the banker. They stand in and represent a syndicate bid, help to facilitate the designated market maker providing buy-side liquidity in the first few days after an IPO. So right now, he's the gentleman standing right next to the market maker, right in the middle of this crowd. The stock will not open until he gives the heads up and signs off.
Right.
He's on the phone directly with the trading desk and the syndicate, who's backing this deal and who was very integral in this whole process. And they play a big part in any IPO that happens down here. Again, a unique process and something that other marketplaces don't have. You wouldn't have this crowd, you wouldn't have this price discovery back and forth where you're coming to an agreement on a very good price.
Right.
And they're still looking in there, it's still looking around 17.50. Now, what they're looking at in the middle of this is an electronic display book, where in the past that was all done on paper, and then it slowly evolved into a system where it was paper with an electronic system that they were working hand in hand. Now it is more electronic, and it's operated through algorithms that the designated market maker programs in the morning, and they have up to 20, 25 different strategies that they employ all day long.
Okay.
And they're constantly monitoring and changing it depending on market moves and what's going on. However, this opening process right now is still manual. They're looking at a template that is basically like a large calculator. And they put in a price, and that price is going to take into account all the different types of orders that they have. So some of the different types of orders are market orders, which means they'll buy at any price available. They just want to buy stock. And that's on both the buy and sell side.
Right.
And then there's also limited orders, which they'll buy an amount up to a certain price. So when you look at this template and put the price in, it calculates both sides and gives you a number and an imbalance. That's what they're working on right now, to find the prices with the smallest possible imbalance so that they can get both sides balanced exactly.
Right.
And
I was going to say, this process usually does take about this long of a time to open on an IPO day. What would you say the average time would be?
some of them, it depends on the type of stock. And sometimes it could go 15 minutes, sometimes we've seen them upwards of 40 minutes. Generally speaking, when you see something well received and it starts trading up like this, it's going to take a little bit more time.
We've seen that a lot with tech IPOs this year, specifically. It takes a little bit longer for them to open.
It does, and part of that is, I guess, from the investment community, it might be a little tougher for them to value it.
Right.
And to see where they're going to be pricing it, where they're going to be buying and selling it. Either way, they do like this one quite a bit. You also notice on the screen up there, you have Goldman Sachs, and they also have JP Morgan and B of A Merrill Lynch, who are also working on this deal on the banker side, with Goldman being the lead banker, of course.
Right, of course. Do you have any more other indications now?
17 to a quarter on 800,000 shares. So now we're down to a quarter range. So you're seeing it's getting closer and closer and closer, and that's, I guess, sort of giving a heads up to anybody who's not inside that range to either get room or you're not going to be executed right now.
Right.
So after the stock opens, I mean, right now we're looking at 800,000, almost 1 million shares that is going to trade on the opening.
Right.
7.5 million shares were issued. So you're looking at, what, 15 to 16% of that trading on the opening trade.
Right.
It wouldn't be unusual for today to see upwards of 5-6 million shares change hands throughout the course of the day.
It's more active in the beginning at IPO, and then it starts to dwindle off a little
Without
bit.
a doubt. And then as you go forward, as the stock gets more seasoned, the volumes come in a little bit, and you get into a little bit of a tighter trading range.
Right.
But the first couple of days, you do see a lot of opportunistic traders that are moving in and out that aren't necessarily long-term investors, where the people that are buying it long-term are sitting back and not trading their shares. So a lot of the volume is in fact traders in and out. So it's not 6 million shares worth of people, it could be the same million shares changing hands 6 times.
Okay, okay, interesting.
And we're hearing a hush behind us in the crowd, so hopefully they are getting a little bit closer. And we are very glad that you guys were able to join us. I don't know you folks out in the West Coast. It's an early morning for you if you are on board right now, but we appreciate you hopping on board to share with your management team, all your guests up top that are standing around looking down here eagerly for the first trade in RNG on the New York Stock Exchange. And there's still quite a few people up there
They're waiting
peering down at us.
Patiently.
I don't know, can we get a shot of them up there? Well, they are waving down at us, so, and they're very happy to be here.
So after this opens, we're actually going to have a couple words from your CEO about being here at the New York Stock Exchange and how it feels, and it is a partnership that we've now started once this IPOs.
And we did have a chance to speak to him upstairs, and he was incredibly happy to be here, which is great for us. And we're proud to have, great companies join us through this IPO process. And we do realize this isn't a one-day thing. This isn't today, great, you rang the bell. This is a long-term partnership and something that, we look at the likes of some of our listed companies that have been down here 50, 60, 70 years. And we look forward to that type of long-term relationship with Ringcentral as well.
I mean, if you look at, we had a company recently, Harley-Davidson. Everyone knows who Harley-Davidson is. We actually had, every year they have this, a summit, if you will, in their headquarters, and we actually went out there. A couple of our employees went out there on their Harley-Davidsons and celebrated with them, and they actually had a remote bell there. So we actually had the opening bell come in, and we showed them close the bell.
So in a few minutes, this whole group up there is going to erupt.
Okay.
And you can see there's, I guess, 40 or so people up on our bell. And we see everybody up there. Give a nice wave.
Tommy, what's the volume? Sorry.
No wave.
No wave back.
17 to a quarter a half is the latest. So it's 1725, 1750 on close to 1 million shares right now. So volume is growing. We're getting more interest on both sides. Price is staying fairly stable right around the 17 to 17 and a half range. Still almost, that's a 4 1/4 premium over where you're priced. So quite a good day for you guys so far. Now, so we talk a little bit about the technology down here and how we are a technology company. But as we mentioned, without the human beings down here, this operation wouldn't function correctly.
It definitely wouldn't.
And this type of transparency and the back and forth and the discussions that they're having is integral to how we operate our business down here. Versus a fully electronic where you flip a switch and stocks trade and there's not a lot of transparency back and forth. So again, this is a first-hand look into a price discovery process and how things happen down here. And then on a smaller term basis, this is an IPO, so it's a big deal. There's a lot of shares being traded. There's a lot of things going on today. Now, every day they do this for every single stock.
Right.
And they're able to trade it, open it manually, talk to the buyers and the sellers and make these things happen. Very similar with secondary offerings down the line. Almost the same process as what we have today with the buyers and sellers coming in and having discussions and figuring out what's happening. A quick peek at the equity markets. We are selling off a little bit. We're down 86 points or so. Volume is fairly light today overall, as we've seen over the last week or so. Some are calling it what's called fiscal fatigue. People are just plain sick of hearing all the different news coming out about the federal government, what's happening, and they'd like some decisions to be made either way. But we are slipping a little bit. We were frozen, and then we heard a couple of waits. They have to refreeze. And what happens, once they freeze, no more orders are coming in. 17 and a quarter, congratulations guys. So right now, officially open for trading. Shares open at 17 and a quarter on a little over 800,000 shares. And now, if you look up here, you'll see almost over 1 million shares is traded already. So the public markets are open.
They are open.
Took a little while for Ringcentral to open, and now it's trading back and forth. So anybody here who did not get executed on the opening, maybe had more to do, is trading it back and forth right now. Traded as high as 1775 already. Right now, last sale is 1740. And as the brokers walk through here throughout the day, they'll be able to look up there to figure out how shares are traded. There's a lot of information up there with the bid, the offer. It shows the high and low of the day, as well as how much shares are up or down. So right now, up $4.30. Today, they base it off of your offering price. And as days go forward, they use that and they base it off of the closing price. So it's up 32%. Staggering number. And we are waiting for, we're going to wait, yes. And we're waiting for your CEO who's going to say a couple of words to you guys who are part of this great day,
yes,
which is great to have you guys aboard. 1765, trading higher in the face of a market that's down 100 points. Quite an accomplishment. Definitely some headwinds.
Let's get you in here.
Hello.
Right here. Right here.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Glad.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet you. So
Such a pleasure.
Pleasure.
we're being joined by,
Where am I supposed to face you?
right here.
Okay.
So we're being joined by your employees from across the country in your offices. Ringcentral opening at 17 and a quarter, trading up to 1760. Great morning. What would you like to say to your folks joining you?
Thank you. I would like to say thank you. It's been an amazing, amazing trip. Looking at the camera as I was told, but this is a dream, and not just for me. And thank you all for being here.
Now, they often talk about a listing here. Listing your stock is the beginning of a journey or the end of a journey. Looks like obviously there's still a great road in front of you guys. We're proud to have you as a partner. What are your thoughts going forward?
Wow. This is the beginning. It's not an end. We're changing things for the better for very many people, and we'll be here for a while, guys. It is the beginning.
Well, we want to thank you very much for your partnership. Any last words for the folks out there watching?
NYSE, RNG. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we just heard that round of applause from behind us. Ring traded up to $18, part of a great community of companies down here, as we mentioned before. And we're going to wrap up with a short video with some other folks that have done this in the past and a little bit about what they had to say. On behalf of Ron Bollert
And Jenna Viviano.
I want to thank you guys for joining us. Congratulations. RNG, NYSE listed.
This is the center of the world from a financial perspective, the center of the world from a business perspective. So to be here, as I say, really rounds out our New York delivery.
We are proud to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. It's been a glorious relationship, and I see great possibilities for the both of us going forward.
We're in about 50 countries right now. We've been able to bring in consumers from around the world, and now we'd like to see investors from around the world. So we're hoping that the New York Stock Exchange's global footprint will help attract more foreign capital into IMAX.
It's been incredible hands-on type relationship, and I just think that's going to expand and grow.
LinkedIn is the largest global professional network, and I think the partnership with the New York Stock Exchange, obviously with its global reach, I think it's a very strong pairing.
They provide us a lot of great promotion here in the marketplace. They provided us the opportunity to get our product out in front of the building.
I'm Chiquita Banana, and I've come to say bananas have to ripen in a certain way.
It's exciting. It's great for us. All the guys wear their pink ribbons.
This is the heartbeat of America.
This is where every other country looks to find out what is going on in the world.
进行到了 IMAX 永国，我们计划在。
I've never been here with the DJ and the music and the drinks. The place is the financial capital of the world, but it's also a great place to throw a party.
You know, the exchange is everything I had hoped. I mean, it's amazing. We're back already, what, 6 weeks later? The entire building's draped with one of our website launches, typef.com.
You're pushing that button and then you feel like the whole world is watching because they are.
It feels great to be publicly listed again, and it feels great to be on the best exchange in the world.